All right. Onto the prep table. Ha ha! Things are working. Success, people. Success. All right. So, where we left off last time. Hi, everybody. Where we left off last time is I didn't own one of these. That was my problem. For those of you playing the home game, it is the heavy-duty snap pliers, which you can't see. Here we go. Heavy-duty snap pliers. There we go. Because, you know, we're using heavy-duty snaps. So, this thing comes with a whole bunch of toys. It comes with all of these tiny little pieces. So there's two different, and it doesn't come with anything on here yet. It doesn't come with anything between the pliers pieces. This is purple, by the way. That's how messed up my color is, so my apologies. So when you see my bag in real life, it won't look this color. It'll look a different color. So this purple piece is the one that you use when you're putting on the snap part. So it's the one where you have the back of it is the non-pretty side. That's when you use the purple piece. And then when you're putting on the snap that has the very pretty shiny side with no hole in it, you use the black side. So this goes in there, a nice little well. And since I want this nice pretty shiny side to be on the outside, like this. Remember how I said that my hole punch was just a tiny bit too small? That's why I have to sniggle it in there. There we go. So I want my snap to be on that side, all nice and pretty and shiny, with that side up, which we learned last time. That one part I remembered. So, because I want that there, I'm going to put it this. So I'm going to put the nice shiny part into the black well. And we'll put the other snap part there. So what this is going to do is this part is going to open it up. Remember how I was saying that all of the pieces, the metal curls over itself? This will do that. This will also actually split the metal like an eyelet. So the difference between an eyelet and a grommet is how they're put together. Eyelets are literally just, you know, the flat pretty part and then a barrel that goes up. And how you apply it is that barrel curls out just like these will, but it also splits when it curls because the metal, instead of completely rolling, splits out to accommodate the curl part. Well, this particular, I want to call it a tooth, splits the metal like that, which is okay for the inside of a snap. Not my favorite thing in the world. I don't like things that go like that, just because it's potentially something that will snag, but it's not that big a deal. So I have it placed, black side on that side, other snap part on there. My little tooth on the pliers is going in, and all I have to do is just crush together. And let me see if we can get it up where you can see it and the light isn't killing it. Sort of. So you can kind of see how my light source is right over my camera, so you know that's how these things go. You can kind of see how the inside of the snap split outwards, and it just like split it instead of completely curling. Some of it curled and some of it split. So that's what's going on right there. All right, so that's my other snap part. So my snaps are all put together. Yay! I did the other three like I said I would before I streamed today, so that we can actually make some forward progress on this project. Doesn't that sound lovely? So, hopefully, we're getting to these guys today. I read a little bit ahead, so I'm not completely going in blind today, and we are getting to those today. So, I am going to attach my two snaps together, because the last thing I want to do is have them misalign, even if everything, let me show you, even if, let me really show you, even if everything doesn't align perfectly, see right here, this pocket is a little bit lower than this fabric is, then at least I have my snap that will align, because if you don't align your snap, then when you try and put your snap together, you're going to have, you know, fabric that buckles a little bit when you're trying to snap. If I like stitch this right here without making sure that my snap aligned, let's say, here, perfect example. Where are my pins? Sorry everybody. So, my pins. So, let's pretend that we're just gonna line it up right there, lined up beautifully on the bottom, and we'll pretend that we stitched it down. And we'll pretend that these pins are our stitching. I'm a very visual learner. I like it when I can see what's going on. Okay, so pretend we stitched everything down. Well, obviously everything is not centered, because you can see that this is not centered with this. But if I tried to snap it closed, see what would happen? This is pulling, because that's only a pin, so this whole piece would be pulling, and look at this bubble right there. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So that's why it's important to make sure that the snap sits perfectly before you start stitching stuff down. All right, now if we can make everything else calm down and lay where it's supposed to be. There we go. That looks pretty centered, doesn't it? And I'm a bigger fan of clips than I am of pins, which is pretty impressive. Well, not really. I don't like pins to begin with. So this is going a little bit lower than my 10 inches. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this down. I know. I just said I don't like pins. But there's a reason. Actually. Because I'd forgotten that this piece and this piece are different pieces. Because this zipper right here for the trolley pocket is what segregates the two. That, and you know, the fabric is going 2 different directions. What I'm going to do is flip this over, grab myself a pen, maybe a chalk would be easier, and I'm going to explain to this fabric that it needs to be a little bit shorter. That way everything will line up nicely when I try and stitch across the bottom when I'm using the front. Okay. Pull those pins. I'm going to cough, I'm sorry. Forgive me. And I'm going to cut this guy off just a little bit more. It's maybe 1/8 of an inch, but it's enough that it's going to mess me up when I try and stitch everything down. Because the next step is to stitch all the way around. There we go. So I'm going to check it. And now it's nice and pretty and flat and straight and all that jazz. Speaking of, so I'm going to make sure that this pocket, which is the pocket that goes to this recessed zipper, is out of the way. So I just pinned that guy up there. All right, so pull that pin, put a couple clips in the bottom to make sure everybody stays where they belong. And the next step is to stitch all the way around the outside. I think we should be good there. All right, so start there, stitch down, start there, stitch down, and then stitch across. Because we always symmetrically stitch the same direction on either side. Ready? Now we're still on the bad computer version, so we're going to have to deal with me flipping back and forth via mouse. But I fixed the lighting over here, so that should be a little bit better. All right. So we're going to start here and stitch down, and then we're going to stop. And because I am using vinyl, or not using vinyl, I don't have to worry about back stitching and making extra holes and stuff, but I'm still going to do my standard stitch backwards a little bit. And then stitch forward. And I have to figure out where my extra pair of scissors went, because they're not by my sewing machine where they belong. All right. And I'm going to stitch down, because I stitched from top to bottom over there. I'm going to stitch from top to bottom over there, and then I'm going to go across. So we'll start a little bit down, back stitch, and head on down. Nice and easy. And I just broke my needle. Maybe I might have broken my needle. My needle is now down here instead of in the take up as it's supposed to be. So let's see if we broke her. This is why I have Craftsman tools. I think I'm stuck in the bottom of the zipper pull, which is so much fun. All right, let's get see if we can get the sewing machine foot out of the way. Nope, because I do not have a front hole in my sewing machine, my pressure foot, and I can't, oh, there it goes. I was gonna say I can't get it out. So as you can see, hopefully, I now have my sewing machine needle just stuck in my fabric, which is great. At least I can turn it over and, oh, I know what I did. So, life lesson for everyone. And see, this is the really sad thing, is I read the directions and I scoffed at this part. And I just laughed and I said, who would ever do that? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so the directions literally tell you to not be a doorknob and to put your zipper pull. So there's a zipper right here for the trolley pocket. It literally tells you to make sure your zipper pull is in the middle. I didn't. So now I have this beautiful hole in the pull of my zipper, which is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So I've moved the zipper pull now. Don't do what I did. All right. Now it's down where it belongs. And we'll trade that guy out. We'll put our foot back on. We'll get our take-up lever where it belongs. And let's see. You are the wrong needle. And I think you're the right one. And we'll find out. So yay, broke some stuff today. But you know, what fun would it be if I didn't break something? I didn't say that to my sewing machine, right? Now my sewing machine has been really temperamental with this whole automatic needle threader thing concept, so we'll see if it behaves itself and likes doing what it's supposed to. And if it actually, Hello Kitty, automatically threads my needle. Or not. Yes, kitty, mommy loves you. Nope. Excuse me, I'm going to cough again. Forgive me, I'm so sorry. Always thread front to back. There we go. And we'll get you under the foot. And now that we are absolutely certain, I have a hole in the little tab for the zipper. That's just great. All right. And down we will go. So I'm having a small problem, and I know it's going to be a problem, with the top fabric not being pulled in as far as the bottom one. And so what I'm doing is I'm kind of squishing the fabric to move forward and to go under the top foot a little further than it wants to, than it's being pulled. And there we go. So not a colossal, insane, bad idea. I'm going to clip my threads. All my gray ones anyway. All right. Let's see how we did. Over to the prep table. That sure looks like a zipper. All right, not too bad, people. Not too bad. And it's a neat idea. So you would unzip your zipper right there, pop this snap, and your bag would go over the handles of your suitcase right there. Or if you keep the zipper zipped, you can use it as a regular pocket. That's pretty ingenious. You know, assuming that you don't stitch through the zipper pull at the bottom, because that's kind of important not to do. And of course, there's the pocket there as well. All right. So that was page 27. We are actually on to page 28. I'm pretty dang proud of us, people. We're doing good. And hello, Joyce. Welcome from Oregon. I get a little lubrication in my throat so I don't, ooh, sorry, just tap the mic. So I can actually, you know, talk. That would be handy. All right. All right. So this is my back. I'm going to actually iron off these chalk marks because they're going to drive me insane. But it won't take about a moment. There we go. I was going to say, why is my iron not giving me steam? Okay. No more chalk marks. That's my back. This is my front with a real pocket that actually closes on the bottom with a slip pocket on the inside. Not bad. Not bad at all, people. So we were talking about this, I think, time before last or last time. We were talking about our straps and how I'm a doorknob. And because I haven't been moving this project along, except unless we were together on the stream, my straps had started coming unstuck. My apologies, my bad grammar, bad me. So the glue on the middle seam had been coming apart. It would just open overnight. And so that's why I have tiny little clips. I didn't want to put clips all the way down because, let's see if we can see, I'm into close-ups, Mr. DeVille. You can see that there's a little mark right there where the clip was. And I don't want to leave any more marks on these guys than I have to. The vinyl will eventually heal from it, but I don't want it to have to. Okay, there we go. So we are going to be doing markings. And I'm going to sharpen my chalk. Or I'm going to get a different sharp chalk. Hey, I lived in Indiana for a little while. Welcome, welcome. Let's see if I have a better chalk hanging out. Well, that one's better. There's a couple of them. Excuse me, I'm going to cough again. Thank you. This is, I have my Real Simple magazine here, which is battle scarred from doing lots of hole punches. This is, in case anyone is curious, the January 2010 model. I wonder if the mouse works okay on that magazine. It does. Awesome. That's a new house for the mouse. Oh, and I'm rhyming today. Lovely. That won't get annoying for anybody, right? Okay. So we are now attaching the front, back, and shoulder strap pieces. We're on page 28 in case you need to follow along. So remember how I was telling you guys that I didn't draw a lot of the guidelines on here? This is where that lack of intelligence is going to be showing. Because I really should have, but I didn't. So yeah. That's where I am. So, measurements are key to keeping straps even and straight. Refer to the diagram below. Okay, so I'm going to start drawing a whole bunch of stuff. Make a mark at the top and bottom edge at 5.5 from center on both sides. So first we're going to find center, and hopefully the snap is in the center. Come on now. Snap together. There we go. Ooh, and I'm a little bit off. Not enough that anyone would notice. And I can probably fix it with the straps. Okay, so 5.5 from center. Literally fold it in half. Find the center line. And this is when I use the edge, not the edge as in the real edge, but the end of the chalk. And I mark it like that. And I'm going to do the same for the bottom. It's going to be a little harder on the bottom because there's more layers. But just drill it down to the very bottom. All right. And see how I have a nice little mark up there? And if you could see the bottom, a nice little mark down here. I'm going to move my table up a little bit. There we are. Because I have a tendency to work on the very edge of my table. And that really doesn't help you any. All right. So I'm going to draw a center line. And yay, I go straight through my snap. That is something I was hoping for. And right through my Altered Notions logo. So 5.5 on either side. So this is where the clear rulers really show their colors, but I'm bunching. But they're very, very nice when you're trying to do things like this and getting lines straight. So like I want to make sure that this bottom line over here is straight. So I'm lining that up with one of the 1-inch lines. It actually happens to be the 16-inch line. And then I'm lining up the edge of my 5.5-inch line, and I'm just finishing out that line. It's very, very convenient. And that's how you can get faster. Now, if anyone can help me figure out a fast way of doing interfacings. I hate cutting out interfacing lately. It's driving me nuts. I think we're going to have to move a few things. Hey, there's a sewing machine table, the chair that I'm not using right now, and the cat isn't on, so, you know, there's progress. Now, I have a slight amount of concern. Not too big a one, but let me explain what it is. So, I found center, which was great. I drew my 5.5-inch lines. Now, her 5.5-inch lines are equidistant from the edges of her pockets. Mine aren't. So my edge of my pocket is there and there. So this is much further away than this one is. Now, no one's going to be able to tell because I'm pretty sure, hi kitten, my strap is wider than that problem, which it is, not by a lot, but my strap is wider than that problem. So this 5.5-inch line is actually the outside of one of the two straps. So it's not a big deal, but it's definitely something that I would want to fix before I went any further. And obviously this one is fine. The other thing I kind of want to look at is, okay, if this is still center, are my 5.5-inch lines, since we know there's a problem here with this pocket, are my 5.5-inch lines equidistant from either side? So I'm going to look at the top, and I'm going to go, okay, 2 3/4. Where's 2 3/4? Right at that edge. So these two lines are 2 3/4 inches away from the edges of the top of my fabric. So I know that's good. Now I'm going to double check the bottom, and I know this seems like a lot of extra work, but if I don't double check this, then bad things are going to be happening. And welcome from New Jersey as well. Should we have a roll call? That'd be kind of cool. 3 3/4 down here. Okay, so now I'm a little concerned. I think I might have drawn my middle mark down here incorrectly. So it's 3 3/4 from, was it from line? Double check. Yep, 3 3/4 from line. This line is 4 inches, give or take. It's 3 7/8 away. So this is a little bit further in. So let's find out how wide this is. And it's wider than my 18-inch ruler. which means I need a tape measure. And I know this seems like a lot of extra work, but again, if one of those straps is crooked, then it's gonna look bad. And I'm gonna know. Okay, so we are 18 3/4. 7 and 7 are 14, 8 and 8 are 16, 9 and 9 are 18. So we should be 9 and 3/8. Should be middle. 1, 2, 3. 9 and 3/8 is middle. Okay, did I draw my lines wrong then? Oh, that's 5 1/2. And that's 5 1/2. Okay, so somewhere I did my math wrong. Let's double look at that. Okay. Oh, whoops. I must have looked at something wrong because now this looks 3 3/4. Okay, so no big deal. Or at least, you know, not as big a deal as I thought it was. Less worry. Okay, so this guy's got that line, but we're also going to do a couple other lines. So there's the straps are going to go right here, but we're also going to do where the straps stop, because that's important as well. I'm so sorry, folks. Okay. One and a half inches from the top of the strap fold line. Is the strap fold line. 1.5 inches from the top. Okay. And another nice thing about having clear rulers is they've got these beautiful little lines on them that I can line up the edge of the fabric with the 1.5 inch line, which this is a 3-inch wide ruler, so literally halfway across, or halfway across the diameter of my ruler is my 1.5 inches. Well, there's an 1.5 inch line, and it goes 2.5 from the top as the strap stitch line. So if I measure it up at the 2.5 inch line, I can mark that as well. Easy peasy. Pockets should measure 10 inches from the bottom to top, which they do, and this one's good. I'm going to make these same marks on the other side, on the other pocket, or the other side of the, on this one. So good with math. So we're going to find center. And fold it in half, and rub the edge of my chalk along that center line and fold it in half. So what I'm doing when I'm folding this in half is I'm keeping this part right here where the two ends are, and I keep my pressure on that, and then I just kind of roll that pressure inwards until I find wherever center happens to be. Then I'll keep the pressure right here, and then I'll put my finger under, and you can't see as well, so I'll put my fingers under and I'll pick it up. And I'll squish it some more, and I'll mark that center line. Oh, this is a great game. It's so silly. It's not anything bad, just so you know. So the whole necro dancer thing isn't anything horrible. It's literally you get to move at the beat of the music, but only at the beat of the music. And if you don't move at the beat of the music, then you get like damaged or something like that. All right. There's my 1/2 inch, or my halfway mark. 5 inches, or 5 1/2 rather, excuse me. 5 1/2. 5 1/2. Okay, let's find out where our zipper pull is, because, you know, that's going to be important later. Let's just push you in the middle for now, just, you know, safety-wise. And the really silly thing is the directions tell you to not be an idiot and to move the zipper pull. And I totally wasn't even thinking. I wasn't reading. I like read that direction 3 times and I was like, who wouldn't do that? Yeah, that'd be me. That'd be me. But you know, live and learn and all that jazz. All right, and here's my other 5.5-inch line. My chalk's getting a little dull. I'm gonna rotate it around so I can find part of it that isn't dull. And we're gonna do a 1.5 and a 2.5 from the top. Now, I'm not gonna draw it all the way across like I did last time because I've got this applique there. So I will just draw, because I only need it right about there. That's my 1.5. And this is my 2.5. That's where the stitching line is. There we go. And I'm going to blow my nose, so I'm going to mute myself in just a second, because the last thing you want to hear is me screaming and blowing my nose. As soon as I find my mouse. It was here a second ago. There we go. All right, thank you for your patience. Okay, so we have all our marks down. Now what do we do? Oh, great and wonderful, amazing, awesome directions. Place a piece of double-sided tape on the exterior piece from the top of the exterior pocket to the first line, 2.5 inches from the top edge. Peel off double-sided tape, lay prepared strap right side down, placing angled edge at the top of the pocket. Oh, I see what they're doing. Okay. This is, I'm actually going to use double-sided tape. And we'll grab up 2 straps. All right, so remember how I said last time? Hi, Darlene. Remember how I said last time, when you don't understand the directions and you read them through once and you still don't understand them, you read them through again. And then, if you still don't understand it, you just do the first step. And then you do the next step. And then you do the next step until you get to a point where you actually go, oh, that's what that's about. And you figure out what in the world you'd missed. That's what you should do here if you do not understand what's going on. Okay, so first off, see how I have these little like trailing orange pieces? Because there's a weird undertone to my fabric, and it's really kind of cool, but it's got this weird orange undertone, which doesn't really, to me at least, show up in the fabric. It's more like just the carrier for the really teal and pretty greens. I'm going to snip one of those words in here. I'm going to snip off some of those extra threads that are coming off. They're just like the fraying edges of like jeans. That's what's going on here. So I'm going to get those out of the way because they're driving me insane. Okay, that is slightly less annoying. Okay, so you're going to take a piece of double-sided tape. And here I want this scissors because this is the icky scissors. And you're going to do it from the exterior on the exterior piece from the top of the pocket to the first line, the 2.5 inches, and peel it off. So if you don't get it, and remember you want to do it on the side where the pocket is going to be, not the side where side where the strap is going to be, not the side where the strap isn't going to be. Come on, let go. Thank you. All right. And I like doing all the same steps at the same time. So we will do all the same steps at the same time. I just laid one side on top of the other side. You can scooch that up a little bit so that I'm doing all 4 sides at the same time. So if I'm going to mess it up, I'm going to mess it up royally, and I'm going to mess it up all at the same time, right? Right? Isn't that how that's supposed to go? I'm pretty sure that's how that goes. Sorry, I like this music. It's kind of fun. jaunty little tune. Okay. So I'm going to put my very sticky paper clip back. I'm going to de-stick it a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't get as gunky. So remember how I told you guys that my play, I have actually 2 screens. So what I have going on here is I have one screen on that side that shows me what is going on live. So like as I move my finger, I see it. And then I have this other screen that's basically straight in front of me that's showing me what you guys see in the time frame in which you see it. So it's on a couple of moments delay. I think we timed it at one point. It's anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds. Like I'm only just now shaking my finger this way. So it's really entertaining for me to like start jamming to a song and then realize that you guys haven't even started hearing that song yet. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, so we're going to stick down the double-sided tape. And I don't know, I'm one of those OCD people that doesn't think that this double-sided tape always behaves itself. So stick down the double-sided tape. The next thing you do is pull the wax paper side off of it. So what she's going to have us do is we're going to put these straps on. And I have all 4 of them prepped and made up. We did that first day of production. All right, so we have that off, and she says, lay prepared strap right side down, so the pretty side that doesn't have the seam on it, down, placing angled end at the top of the pocket. Use a ruler to help keep the strap straight. Well, I have these beautiful lines. So the idea is that what's going to happen is we're going to lay this down, and before I actually let it adhere, I'm going to make sure that my edge is lined up right along the edge of that very pretty chalk mark, and then I'm going to squish it down. So what's going to happen in a second is we're going to do this. All right? That's why I'm not freaking out. I'm like, this is wrong, because inherently it feels wrong. It feels like everything is not in the right place. But we're going to put the D-ring on it. Or no, the D-ring is this is for the shoulder strap. So the shoulder strap D-ring will go on here, then we'll fold it over. And we still have, okay, so here, let me show you. So if we pretend, and this goes all the way up, see that's the fold line, that's what that second line is for. We still have maybe 1/2 inch of strap at the bottom. It's a good finger width-ish. At the bottom that will probably end up snipping off. I still have mild amounts of concern because that's 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of vinyl right there, and I'm not sure my machine is going to behave itself through that, but we shall see. I mean, I have ways to get around that, which with any luck I won't need, but if I do need them, I do have them. And this one didn't get the wonderful treatment of getting all the icky, silly orange threads snapped off, so I'm going to do that really quick. Did I say hi to New Jersey? Hi, Barbara. I'm sorry if I missed you. I mean, no offense. Hope everybody's having a great night. I'm actually really, really excited to get this bag done. I'm kind of stressing out because I'm going to the retreat, and I'm not packed, I'm not prepped, I don't have anything cut out. I still haven't even figured out what kind of fabrics I'm bringing. I was smart. I did order a bulk container or package of the woven fuse from Barb, so she'll have that there for me, so thank you, Barb. But I have nothing else prepared at all. Like, that's not quite true. I know where my swimming suit is. And my swimming suit is on my makeup table, which doesn't really have anything else on it because the cat was enjoying jumping up on it. So we had to put one of those like little electric mats down that would just kind of give her just kind of a ah when she jumped up there. So we have that on there, and it's still on there from months ago. And she doesn't go up there anymore, so we don't need it up there, but that's why my makeup table is empty. All right, so since there's no sticky above this first line right here, I'm going to line the strap up going this way, so it does, or going that way, with the chalk line. And then, once I have it laid out the way I want it to keep everything straight, then I squish it down. And the nice thing is I do still have some wiggle room. If I need to squish it one way or the other, I still can. It's not the end of the world. All right, so that's one side. Because I'm pretty sure somewhere, okay, so the reason I'm doing it this way is I'm pretty sure somewhere in the directions it says, now go all the way back to the steps that we were doing at the very beginning and do this again for the other side. And I hate that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is that these directions will tell you to go all the way back when you could have just been doing them all simultaneously. And hi, Karen. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that you like my bag. So far, so good. I'm pretty happy. I love the fabrics. I love the colors. I think it's hilarious that there's going to be this tiny little secret in the bottom of my trolley pocket that I will know that my zipper, my little zipper pull, this part, so this part right here, that little part right there, it has a hole in it because I was an idiot and didn't move my zipper pull when I was trying to stitch over it. I think that's absolutely hilarious, and it's going to make me laugh every time I go to open that dang thing. Every time. I'm just going to giggle. And my husband's going to look over at me like, what? Never mind, honey. Okay. I'm going to line this up before I squish it down. Looks good, looks good. All right. See, painless. A little bit of preparation. Absolutely painless. See, it helps when you're doing it for the 4th time, right? You do your lines the same way. Isn't it easier? Just chalk the high heaven out of everything and everybody can go kung fu fighting and it'll be great. Don't ask me where that came from. I don't know. I hope somebody listens to this for just the entertainment of my schizophrenia. There we go. And see, that one was just so nice and easy. It's so much easier when you're doing it for the 4th time. All right. Yay. Page 29. Guys, I am so excited. We're like almost halfway through the full set of directions. Like, to be fair, the last set of directions. It ends on 63, so we're almost literally halfway there. Because why not? All right, I'm going to go get my shoulder straps. Where did I put my shoulder straps? There they are. Now, this makes so much more sense. Okay, so remember how I was really, really confused as to why we would keep the curved side of the shoulder strap on the inside of the shoulder, or curved side of the D-ring on the inside here? Like, I did not get it. That made no sense to me, but I was like, okay, well, I'm going to follow the directions, and I can always turn it all the way around later if I don't think it's right. Well, it's right. So, go Sue. I love you dearly. You're amazing and awesome, and yep, you're right. So, what we're going to do, see, this is what happens when I read the directions ahead of time. I don't actually read them while we're talking about them. I just do them. See, and then I worry that I'm going to miss something. Okay. So, you take the strap from your bag, and you feed the D-ring through it up to that beautiful first set of lines. And it's close. And then, oh, we're going to have to put double-sided tape down. I hope we put double-sided tape down. Do we put double-sided tape down? Oh, yes, we do. Somehow I knew she was going to go that way. Seam should be on the bottom. Okay. Using prepared shoulder strap with D-rings already attached, slide one of the D-rings through the front strap, making sure the right side of the rivet is on top. So the nice thing about my double capped rivets is there is no right side of the rivet, so it doesn't really matter. That's for me. Keep in mind, Chicago screws do have a screw head side to them, so you'd want to make sure that that side is to whatever you would consider the back, especially if you did straps like I did, where there's one lining color and then one vinyl color. If I had put Chicago screws on these, I would have made sure that the screw head was towards the lining side, because that would be the side that I would consider the back, just so you can get the mentality of where I'm going with this. So, slide that on there. Place a piece of double-sided tape from the 1/2 inch mark running down to the bottom edge. Peel the paper off and start at the bottom, making sure the end of the strap is even with the bottom edge, and go up. Neat. Okay, so in case you didn't catch all that, we're going to get this out of the way, and we're going to get that out of the way, and I'm not sure I own enough double-sided tape for this project. That's okay. Fake it till you make it, right? Okay, so I have a small concern. So this right here, under my fingertip right here, is the tail end of my zipper for my trolley pocket. That is also over here, and I also have a lining, an extra little lining piece for this vertical piece of my trolley pocket as well. So I'm going to clip those off now before I forget them. Now, I almost always clip my zippers tape with my pinking shears. This is the only thing that I ever use my pinking shears for, because pinking shears generally do bad things to fabric. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them, except for zipper tape. And apparently my pinking shears are horrible today. See, this, as soon as they go and publicize and ridicule them on television. I hate pinking shears with a passion. There are, of course, there are tons of opinions out there. If you love your pinking shears, great. Enjoy your pinking shears. I own a pair for the specific purpose of making sure my zipper tape doesn't unravel, which there's a really low probability that it ever would. The reason I don't like them is because it makes people who sew lazy. They think that they can just cut out everything, and plus if you're doing things like this, where you need your measurements to be exact, if you had cut out this base piece, the exterior, with a pinking shears, your measurements are going to be off. And so some people choose to do that so that they don't have to deal with, you remember how I was cutting off the little pieces of my, the pieces of the edges just a little while ago, because they were fraying out. Well, some people don't like having to deal with that, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. It's not always fun to deal with fabric that's going 6 ways from Sunday and doesn't want to behave itself and hold still. That doesn't mean that it's okay to cut corners like that, in my opinion. That's why I don't like pinking shears. Now, I promise I will put the soapbox away, and I will back away from it, and I will not go over that again during this video. Keep in mind I said during this video, because I'm sure we're going to talk about it again at one point or another. All right, I'm going to put my double-sided tape aside, and I'm going to go get my trusty highlighter, if I can get it out of the cup. Okay, so remember how when we made these straps, I would smooth all this down with my highlighter? Well, this highlighter has a tip. This part right here is what I'm going to use to really push that tape and that glue, this double-sided tape, to adhere to the fabric, just because it's very, very three-dimensional. So it's very bulky right here where the pocket is, and it's not bulky as much over here. So I'm literally going over the edge and the bulk of the pocket when I stitch this. So I have a lot of concern stitching along right here, because I'll be going through 1, 2, 3 layers of decor fabric and decoval or Barb, you got to teach me how to say that. Plus I have my zipper down here and the 3 layers, so that's even going to be more fun. So I have concerns. I'm worried that my machine isn't going to make it, but we'll see, and we will figure out a way, because I have other ways to make things work. It's just I don't like using them because they're not exactly the best practices. Okay, so this is the only side that's ready to actually move forward with the next step. So it actually says to start at the bottom. Bad on me. I was going to not follow the directions. Okay. So it says, after you get the D-ring on there, line this edge up with the bottom of your fabric against that line. So I'm hugging the edge of my chalk line and keeping my vinyl straight and flat. But I don't want to stretch my vinyl, because you never want to stretch your vinyl. More than likely you won't be able to, considering all the interfacing that's on the inside of this baby. But I would rather bring it up and make sure that that's not going to happen. All right, and just for good measure, that looks pretty darn awesome, doesn't it? I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. I'm going to cough again. Folks, I'm so sorry. Okay. And see, I even highlighted to make sure the zipper pull on the hidden pocket is partially open and in the center so you don't sew over it. I'm a doorknob. So it says, draw a line at the 2.5 inch mark across the strap to indicate the sewing line at the top. Okay, so it says draw a line right there to tell you to go up here, sew across, and go back down. And I'm not sure how well chalk is going to take my, yeah. So I'm just going to do that. So whenever I have a spot like this, so this is telling me I'm supposed to sew, I'm supposed to go up one side, sew across, and come back down the other side. So whenever I have a spot like that I can't actually chalk, I indicate it with pins. So in all honesty, when I start sewing this, I'm probably going to go up this way, turn it, and come back down. Or at least, I hope. One way or the other. So I indicate it with pins, but I do a double set of pins. So, as I'm sure you're used to, when you're stitching around something and you've pinned it, you usually use one pin and then some space and then one pin and then some space. Because, you know, putting 16 million pins into something is kind of stupid. But when I have, to me, when I have two pins that are right next to each other, that is a stop sign. So, and I do the same thing with clips. So having these two pins on either side right up here at the top where I'm supposed to stop sewing is going to tell me no matter if I go this way or if I go this way, it's going to tell me to stop. Now, remember what I said about always going up one way and up the other way? So what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me go up and across, and then I'm going to go up. So I'm going to go up and across, and then I'm going to go up, because I don't want to have any part of this to start to twist. And that's one of the biggest things in my world, is to make sure my straps don't twist, my bag doesn't twist. Nothing starts to try and torque, especially with stuff that's this thick and heavy. I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm pretty sure the directions are going to tell me to do the same over here and then the same over there. Oh yeah. Repeat on the back exterior panel, making sure the zipper pull on the trolley pocket is partially open so you don't sew over it. Yeah. So, repeat. Big thing. Big, big thing. So, almost as important as making sure the zipper pull in the middle of your trolley pocket is out of the way, or the zipper pull for your hidden invisible pocket on the other one is out of the way. You're gonna want to make sure this isn't twisted. See how that's twisted up there? You're not going to want to make sure that it looks like one of the saddle, what is it, Seattle? The Seattle arch? That it, both sides, because you could accidentally go, oh, there we go, and then stitch everything in place, and then you have a twisted up handle, and that means somewhere something has to give, and you have to redo something. So, double check, make sure. Put this in. If I can get it to behave itself. Strap it through. Pretend it's all glued down. Does everything look straight and flat and good? Yes, it does. Okay. So we'll pull the tape off of this side. Did I lose my kitty? I might have lost my kitty, guys. Come on now. There we go. All right, so this one's a little more precarious. we go. Right up against that line. Nice and flat. There we go. All right. And I'm going to smooth it down with my marker, my highlighter, just so I know where everything goes. Okay, I'm going to go put this one, as soon as I mark the other side of this, with pins that I have put down on my sewing chair. So 2 pins to go, hey, stop. Come on now, fingers, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go put this by the sewing machine and we're gonna go do the other one. Except apparently I dropped my chalk. With any luck, it didn't break in pieces. Yay, I'm lucky. Okay. So, I'm gonna put the double-sided tape down. Right next to that chalk line. And right next to that chalk line. All right, should be good with double-sided tape for a little bit. I make no promises, but you know, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. All right, smooth down our glue. Oh, yep, this side. There we go. Nice and adhered. There we go. Okay, now remember, the straps have to go on the straps before we can nail them down. Okay, put it together, see how it looks. Does it look right? Yes. Okay, let's move forward then. Only after we've made sure that it looks right. Right up against the edge. Keep it nice and straight and lined up. She uses a technique that you put your ruler right up against this edge of the chalk line. It doesn't feel right to me. Like I don't like how, I don't want to have to be like, and mark. I mean, why did I draw the line to begin with if I was going to put it right there? I don't know. I mean, that makes sense because I don't have a 5.5 inch wide ruler, but still, I don't know. I don't like it. So I didn't do it, but you probably should. Okay, this is the side that has the invisible zip, or the hidden zipper on the inside, so I'm going to move that to the middle because I'm slightly paranoid right now. All right. Because, you know, I did almost break a needle on my... All right, and here I almost glued the thing down without making sure. All right, am I twisted? Nope, looks good. Yes, that was exaggerated for all of you. Because, you know, I would totally just go, oh, I'm fine. And, you know, I wouldn't be. So I had a small little problem. Remember all those extra threads that I pulled off? I didn't get that side, so I kind of left them under the glue. I had one of the little threads that was going to show if I didn't move it. There we go. All right. Okay. So now here's the part that I'm worried about. So we're going to stitch up and across, and we're going to stop, and then we're going to stitch up, and we're going to make all of our threads meet in one corner. We'll pull them to the back and tie them off. But before we do that, we need to remind ourselves on where to stop. There we go. And then we'll be adding Chicago screws or double cap rivets or whatever we want there and there on either side of the stitching. Ready, everybody? Here we go. Let's flip over to our sewing machine if we can figure out where we left our mouse. Oh, mouse, there we go. Here's our sewing machine. With any luck, we haven't messed up the visuals too badly. All right. Ah, my sewing machine charge almost ran away from me. Okay. So, I'm going to stitch up and across and then up. I'm going to fold, so I just saw this. I'm going to fold my my interior pocket out of the way, just in case. I mean, it probably won't get affected, but it might. All right, so for the back stitch, I'm going to go forward because I'm working on my vinyl, and I don't want any more stitches on my vinyl than I have to have. Have a for whatever that means for banana people. I never read the directions on. Okay, so my stitches just got a lot shorter as I was going over where the zipper is on the interior piece. So I encourage them to go further. I realized I have a problem of I don't know what I'm. So that means all of my stitches are going to be really strange on this one. So be careful when you get above this pocket here. There's nothing holding this from moving to right to left. So you're going to want to make sure that everybody stacks. That one piece is right on top of the other. Alright. And I'm going to have a nice long tail because I'm going to have to pull this to the back. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Alright, so that one's done. I'm going to start a little bit in, and in all honesty, I start like 3 stitches in, so that's what I'm and I'm just going to keep going like nothing's going to happen right here where all of the layers come into play. And that my thread will behave itself and nothing bad will happen. Let's see how we did. Oh, we broke a needle. So, this is too thick. Doesn't mean anything horrible or vile. It just means I need to take other precautions. I am going to pull out the needle. So whenever you break a needle, make sure you have all the pieces of the needle pulled out of your machine. You might have to go fishing around with, don't let anyone at the sewing machine stores hear me say, a magnet on the inside of your machine. If you have an electronic machine like I do, don't ever do that. But you might need to go fishing for that extra piece if you broke a needle and you can't find it. And now I have to grab my Microtex needles. Do I have any jeans? I don't have any jeans. Okay. All right. So let's try this again. So I'm going to have to fix this problem. And the first thing and I don't want to stop. So let's see what else can we do. Well, I'm going to rethread my machine, of course. probably not going to like the idea of trying to auto thread, but we'll give it a shot and see if it can try and do it. And we fail. I kind of expected that for those of you playing the home game and curious. It doesn't, my machine doesn't like threading really thick fabric, or really thick thread automatically. It does regular fabric all just fine. Okay, so we are going to fix this problem, and we're going to go over to the prep table to do it. So I kind of expected that we were going to have this problem. I was hoping that we wouldn't, but I gave it a 50-50 in all honesty. That I would break a needle or something, or my thread just wouldn't stick. Oh, that stitching is going to drive me crazy, but I'm not going to restitch it because I'd have to remake this handle, and I don't want to do that either. Okay, so we made it all the way up to here. So we got to the point where this pocket is, and we basically got to the zipper where that pocket is. Sorry, the pocket looked weird. Okay, so we basically got up to where the zipper is vertically here. And that's where we got, and then my machine just freaked out and said, no, I don't want to stitch anymore, you can't make me. So we have a lot of thickness right there, and we have even more thickness hanging out over here. Now it did just fine on this side, so it'll probably be just fine on this side, but I don't want to take that chance. So here's my magic weapon. This is my rubber mallet. Now my husband has a rubber mallet. This one's mine. His is gray. He has a gray side and a black side. I only need the soft one. So there's two different things when you have a gray side and a black side on the rubber mallet, one is like harder than the other, and one is more relaxed. Like one has more wiggle in it. This is the hard side on both sides. That's the one I want. Because the whole purpose of what I'm going to do is I'm going to slam this rubber mallet down on the multiple thicknesses. That is what I'm going to do. When I do that, all of those layers of fabric that are just kind of, folded over are going to go, oh, we're folded. And so that's going to give me less thickness when I'm trying to go through my sewing machine. And that's the first thing, other than changing your needle, changing your thread, which I don't want to do. I picked a thread that was a heavy-duty thread because I knew the work I was going to put through this machine. So that's my next and kind of my last resort, other than going to my industrial machine, which I don't have wired up with a camera yet, and, well, it kind of scares me, which is really funny considering I've been working on industrial machines for years. The one that I got like 17th hand from somebody else on Facebook Marketplace. I had to drive downtown to go get it, and I had to rent a truck to get it because my husband and I just have, I have a 2-person car and my husband has a 4-person car. Well, 4-person because the back seat doesn't actually have its own door. But we both have tiny little cars, so I had to rent a truck from Home Depot to go get it. And then I had to, pay men to bring it up to my upstairs studio. So anyway, it kind of needs a couple of pulleys to slow it down a little bit. It's faster than I like. I can still use it. It's a Singer 111 W155, and I love it to pieces. But it's a little faster than I like. I can still use it. I'll probably use it hand cranking more than anything else, which kind of defeats the purpose. But yes, I am going to go make a lot of noise. So I am going to mute my microphone for just a few moments so you guys aren't, trying to rush over and mute your own computers. I'm going to hammer this part, this part, this part, this part, and then those same places on the other side. So you can watch, but I don't want you to have to hear it all. Back soon. So I got my finger on one of those, and that hurt. So careful. With caution, everybody. Don't take your aggression out on your projects. But yes, so that was a ton of rubber malleting. And if you were with me on some of my previous escapades of hammering, you'll know that, in case you weren't aware, that this is actually tiles. I mean, one would think you'd be aware, but you know, you never know. Everybody lives different lives. These are tiles, and they are slowly degrading. So my husband has promised to make me a new prep table. But so far, we just have to deal with the tile misbehaving and flaking off sometimes. And getting into our skin when we try and move it out of the way. Ow, let go me. I probably should just do that with like a broom or something, or a dustpan. Excuse me. And of course, I come back and have to cough, because that's the way the world works. All right, so I have 3 parts here hammered down. So where the double straps are, where the decoupler is for the snap, across the top, where it is for the zipper here, and on the other one I have it very similarly, but it's only 2 spots. It's where that zipper is there, and then it's where the double straps are. We're going to go back to the sewing machine and see if we can't fix this whole mess. Wish me luck. I'm going to get a little bit of peach juice here. All right, let's see what we can do about this whole strap situation. Let's try this again. So what I'm going to do is, I can't go back too far. I'm going to try and go back only 2 stitches, which would be that one. I'm going to hang crank it down until, and crank the needle down a little bit. Make sure my walking part is down. So I will pull these stitches back to the back, obviously. Yeah, I know. Wants to do the 3 stitches thing. And now it doesn't like me at all. Okay. So, I know what happened. Yes. So, there we go. Something went off the edge of my table. I suspect my machine is misbehaving some more. When I took it last to be serviced, they said they fixed everything, and I kind of don't think they did, because the guy wasn't all that cool. But I also had it serviced and then let it sit forever, because I was working on a project with another machine, and once you start a project with one machine, you should kind of like not stop that project with that machine. You shouldn't start another project with a different machine, because it's going to be all different. So, I'll take my machine all apart and clean all the gunk out. And see what I can do about the ick. There we go. Got some lint balls out of there. And of course, I just had my bobbin hit the floor, because that's the day I'm having, everybody. Well, I heard it hit the floor. I know it hit the floor. I heard it hit the floor. Ah. We went into the bucket. There we go. Putting bobbin back in the bottom. I'll have to do a test stitch, because now it's misbehaving, because that's the way I'm going today. Oh, scrap fabric. I'm so sorry, folks. Apparently I don't get to sew or breathe today. See, I have my needle whenever I am threading my needle so that I can see what the dang eye is. Because sometimes all you have is, you're trying to see where the hole in a piece of metal is, and all you have behind it is the metal throat plate, so you can't see where the dang eye is, and yeah. So I always put my finger behind it so I have something that, Yeah, see? I have this problem where the bobbin, the take up for the bobbin keeps catching the top thread. Whenever, I'm going to see if I can manually thread my own needle without doing it through you guys. Come on now. I know you're the right micro. I'm pretty sure you're maybe you're not the right microtex. I might have grabbed the wrong microtex needles size-wise, and that could be what's messing me up this time around. Well, it looks like I pulled up the bottom thread, so I should stitch okay. Let's try it on the test fabric. Yay! We are stitching. Woo. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I have a nice long tail. Excuse me. I actually want to, now that I think about it, pull out a few of these stitches from where my stitch broke. Because if I back off those stitches a few, I'll be able to tie it off on the back side. I'm going to clean up the stitches that died themselves, that killed themselves back there by accident. Okay, so I now have both threads back here. And since I have them, I might as well tie them off to each other from where they broke, so they won't get any worse. And this strap will keep its integrity. All right. So I'm going to bring my needle down a little bit. See if I can find that hole where the previous stitch went in. That one looks good. Bring down my walking foot. Let's see if we can move forward, people. Nice and slow and easy. We're going to make it. Oh, we made it. So far, so good. So we're going to go up here and then stitch across. Nice and easy. Just a little stroll down the park. Nothing to get excited about. One more. All right, bury your needle. Turn 90 degrees. I missed one stitch right there. So that'll give me an opportunity to show you how to make it look like you didn't miss a stitch. And I missed the stitch on the turn. Well, at least it'll match. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making sure that the stitch goes into the stitch from when we went up the other side. And it does. And so now we have a continuous line of stitches all the way around. I'm going to pull out a nice long tail and cut it off. So we're going to start down here, we're going to go up. We're going to start down here, we're going to go up and over. We're going to repeat like we did before, preferably without the stitching we choose. So we're going to back stitch and then stitch forward, keeping the line as straight as possible. I'm going to curve this in a little bit so that my fabric doesn't start turning. So I'll just curve this guy in a little bit so it doesn't start forcing the fabric to turn one way or the other. I'm getting near that area where we had trouble last time. I'm going to go nice and slow and easy. And I'm not going to say we made it until we get all the way up here. Nice long tails. I hate wasting thread, by the way, so when I use it, I find good reason for it. And that's because if I don't use a long tail, then being able to tie them off is really hard. Now this one I'm not as worried about. I'm still going to fold in this fabric because I don't want anything to turn my line one way or the other. But I'm less worried about it misbehaving and breaking or anything along those lines because I don't have that big thickness that was hanging out on the other side. Hi, kitten. Yes, Mommy loves you. Mommy still loves you. I know, you want pettings. Mommy loves you. Let's see. That's pretty dang close to my turn line. Might as well make it my turn line. Yes, Mommy still loves you. Stop being gross on my pretty, pretty shirt. Yes, you have nifty claws, but come on. And that's the end of this one. Hey. And that one actually turned the corner correctly. All right, nice long tails. And we'll set this one aside and get the other piece. Move, kitty. Thank you. Excuse me. Barbara, my needle is an 80-12. Well, that kind of explains my problem. I'm just going to die slowly over here. Don't mind me. All right. So this is the one that has more thicknesses. So there's 1, 2, 3 thicknesses that we have to whirl about. So it should be fun, right? Everybody's excited? So we're going to start at the bottom and move up. Now, more than likely, it's not going to be a problem on the outside thicknesses. So the outside stitching here and the outside stitching here, except for the very end. So what just happened there was the folded up pocket, this part right here, started pulling this outward, and that changes the line of my stitching, which is what I was telling you about. Be careful and fold up your extra fabric on the back side so that it doesn't start doing that. And it just started doing it again. Nice and easy. One more. And a nice long tail to tie things off with. And yep, I can see the 2 places where that pocket started pulling. And it annoys me. And back stitch 2 or 3 stitches. And see if we can make it. Oh, we're over the bottom trolley pocket zipper. Up to the decor. Nice and easy. It's all because I used the metal hammer. And up and over the double layer of vinyl. Or the 4 layer of vinyl anyway. Nice. Okay, so when I'm turning, I need to make sure my handle gets out of the way. And I think I even stuck the pocket. Need to breathe or anything. That'd be silly. All right. See, I just had to lower myself to the point of knowing that I had to just go and get the hammer and do the thing. And back stitch, a couple of stitches. So I do have to push it forward a little bit until it gets under the extra feed dogs there. To make sure it starts pulling forward okay. Up! My machine was really trying to go through that spot. It really wanted to go through. It didn't break my needle though, so yay. And my needle is still threaded, ironically enough. So I'm going to loosen my needle, tighten that up, and I'm actually going to use the there's a special little screwdriver that Bernina people get because our needles don't like any other screwdrivers. So what just happened was my machine tried to stitch through this spot and it couldn't. And I still don't think it can't. It can. So I'm going to move it forward just a little bit, and it got through just fine. So it probably hit the edge of something that it can't stitch through. And it went, hey, listen, you can't stitch through this. Well, I moved it forward like a 1/16 or so of an inch, and it stitched through that place just fine. And I doubt anyone would notice that that is stitched a little bit. That one stitch is a little bit longer than the others. One more. There we go. That's a success. Oh, we skipped 2 stitches right there. I can't even see where it was. Oh, yeah, there's 1 stitch skipped right there. So I'm going to show you how we can go back in and make it look like those stitches were never skipped. And it's awesome. It's an OCD person's best friend. All right, a couple of back stitches. I wonder what size microtext I was using at the beginning of this project. I knew it was a microtext, but I don't remember which size I had on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch across. Now, I know I talked about never, ever doing this, but I'm going to try seeing if I can stitch down the 2 stitches that are missing here. There's actually 3 stitches that are missing going this way. I'm going to see if I can fix it this way. I'm just going to hand crank through. It's only 2 stitches, but still. So that fixes those. Sort of. All right, so I'm going to bring all of this back to the prep table, and we're going to figure it out. Prep table. Ha-ha! So here's the first one. Here's the second one. We'll deal with the second one in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all my threads to the back. I'm going to get rid of my stop pins because we're already stitched, so we're good. So I'm going to bring all my threads to the back. These 2 look like they were just fine as far as stitching up here is concerned. I will be examining all of this stitching because I know there's stitches somewhere that got missed. I'm not too worried about, there's a couple corners on the other piece, on the handle, on the shoulders, not the shoulder strap. Yeah, the shoulder straps. There's a couple corners that were missed on the shoulder straps. I'm not too worried about those. I'm not going to go back and get the stitching on those. If I was selling this bag, I absolutely would. Oh, I should do these separate. Okay. So what I just saw was I was going to do both of these threads at the same time. And then I saw that they don't have a place where they could both go into. So they're going to go into each other's starter hole. So the one going this way is going to go into this hole, and the one going this way is going to go into that hole. So that we keep it extra, extra, extra secure. So if I had used both threads at the same time, I would have had one thread or the other going into its own hole that it had just come out of, which is not really something you want because that's lower integrity of the stitching. I mean, it would have been fine, but not ideal. Okay, now my threads are on the back on that side. Let's look at this side. Okay, first problem we have is this guy up down here. So I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to bring it to the back. And that was pretty darn easy. There we go. And I have these two threads up here. And I have a loop of a thread back here. So does that loop lead to one of these threads? I don't think so. Okay. Feel free, if there are any questions I can try and answer. Feel free to shout them out in chat. That won't bother me a bit. Now that I'm actually, looking at chat. All right, these two, no matter what way I go, I won't be coming out of either of their own holes. So I'm going to thread them together. And put them together in that way. And I'm going to tie these off. And I'm a big person of leaving tails alone. And so look at the other pair. So we had already tied off the one that broke. So now I'm going to tie off the one that we started again. There we go. And then we're going to flip this side over and grab these guys up and tie these off. All right, we'll take this pin out of the pocket so we can have a pocket again. All right, we'll put this aside. We're going to do double cap rivets to that in just a minute. This one is going to be a little bit more of an adventure because this is the one that I broke my needle on and everything went haywire on. So I'm going to see if I have. So to do this, I want a gray thread, but I don't want a gray thread that's as thick as the one that I'm using. So the one that I'm using here is a very thick, I wonder if the numbers are still on the back underside of this cone. Polycore 50. Oh. I'm not sure what these numbers mean anymore. I used to know because I got these from the tailor shop forever ago. But I don't want a thread that's as thick as this one, which this is just a regular cotton thread, which is perfectly fine and exactly what I want for this purpose. So right now it's doubled up. I'm going to undouble it so that it's one layer of thread. And I'm going to tie an awesome knot in the bottom. A really good, thick, heavy knot. Because it needs to make sure that it's not going to get pulled through the holes that the leather has made. Okay, so I've got that prepared. That's ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get all these pins out of the way. Ow. And I'm going to pull all those threads to the back side and knot them off. Hi, kitten. this thread. I was trying to figure out which direction it was going. It was the thread that came across from this side or the one that it could come up from that side, so that I would know what direction it should go. So you'll see me flip over the fabric every once in a while. It's because I physically cannot push the needle through. So I just use physics and I force the fabric to slide down the needle. All right, that's one of them. And I just put my needle down. There it is. Don't worry, we'll get back to the directions soon. All right. And just like that, I can't get the needle in through there. All right, so I check, make sure the front right there is all pretty. Pare off my threads. Tie these babies off. All right, let's take a look at this one. So this is the one where we tried to make, coming back around, cover up the fact that we skipped some stitches. It didn't work as well as I was hoping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo a couple of stitches from when we came up this way. And the fun thing is the threads are wrapped around each other when they were stitched, so that makes my life a little more entertaining. All right, I just snapped my threads. That's just great. This project is going wonderfully. Okay, so I'm going to pull out some of these stitches, and we're going to do a little bit of this top part by hand. And I'm going to get my chair in just a sec, because this is going to take a little bit longer than I expected. Yep. I'm going to get a chair. And I'm going to blow my nose again, because for some reason it's running now, so give me a sec, I'm going to mute myself. Okay, that's better. Okay, so this is going to be fun. We're going to have a few things to fix up here. I'm going to turn this over just a little bit so I can see what's going on better here. Okay, so this thread, the one that went up and over, is fairly intact. So what I'm doing to pull the thread out is I'm taking the eye side of the needle and I'm sliding it under the stitch. I'm using the eye side so that my needle doesn't injure my fabric, but I can keep everything intact. So I'm going to take all these stitches out up to where the first stitch that did behave itself is. So all of the stitches that went up this way are fine. The stitches that went across are not, and then there's about 3 stitches that are this way that are not okay as well. Now I'm going to explain very politely to the thread here that what it's doing isn't okay, and that it needs to go to the back side. So I'm going to take all of these threads that are misbehaving themselves like crazy, and I'm going to pull them to the back and tie them off. have a couple of problems. Well, we will in a minute as soon as I finish tying these off. The last thing I want to do is try and put this under my sewing machine again, because my sewing machine is just going to skip the same stitches. And it may not start in the exact same stitching holes that we had for the first time around. So if I were to put this back under my machine and try stitching in the same place that I already had been, it's not going to turn out well. It could end up perforating like a Ziploc, or not like a Ziploc, like it could end up perforating my entire strap, and then I'd have to make a whole new strap and attach it and glue it down again. And okay, so we have stitches that go all the way up to here where it's supposed to, and then we have stitches that go up to here and stop. So I'm missing this corner. That's my problem. Now I have a couple of holes that are there, but I'm still missing that corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now we're not going to use this little thread yet. So I'm going to tie this off and wonder what my cat is doing. I'm going to tie that off, and then I'm going to thread my needle with one of these sides as soon as I cut it off to make a actually sharp spot. There we go. Alright, so my needle is threaded, and we're going to go back up. Where are we? Okay. We're going to go back up the hole in the corner. Now, the nice thing is I can see where it is. So I pulled it up from the corner, but I pulled it up only through the decor fabric and not through the vinyl. And I could do that because we don't have any glue here. And then I'm going to put it through both layers of the vinyl. And I'm going to very carefully guide it to come through that first hole that's in the very corner where it had just gone down. Okay. Okay, so I have now one thread that went down right in this corner and came back out. Just as if it had been sewn that way by the machine. Yes, Mommy loves you, kitty. Do you need to sit with Mommy for a minute? Okay. You can come up and sit with Mommy. You know, Mommy has little space on her lap. Okay, now, when my machine stitched, it made a hole in every place where a stitch should be. So I know where the next stitch should be. So I can take my needle, find that stitch, and go down. Now it doesn't matter where the stitch ends up looking like on the other side. That doesn't matter. All that matters is that it looks good on the front side. So it looks good on the front side. If I can, use the pliers, Chris. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, now, I have my thread pulled from the front side to the back side, and I'm going to tie a knot with the back tail that we had just tied to. So this will be the bobbin thread used previously, and I'm going to go back up to the front of the strap into the hole that we just came out of. Hopefully it's tight enough that we actually did. remember, it doesn't matter where you look like you're coming from on the other side, as long as you come up the right hole in the right place on the front. And then you go back down a spot right next to it, and you tie off in the back. Remember to keep these stitches tight, but not so tight that it looks like, you know, someone wearing a size too small. Because if it looks like somebody wearing a size too small, then your stitches are going to look really weird. And when I go to push it all the way through, I'm kind of like pushing it a little bit and seeing where it's going to come out on the front, and then deciding whether or not I need to make adjustments. Then I push it all the way through, and I stitch back down the next hole. There we are. The thinner gray thread we'll be using shortly when we go to fix stitches that are misbehaving, that are just one in a line. Like there's one stitch that got skipped, not, you know, a whole row of them that misbehaved. And knot it off. And we're getting close. I think we got maybe 4 more on the top. And then maybe 4 or 5 on the other side. If you do not have enough thread to do this with, that you didn't have a long enough tail to do this with when you originally did your machine stitching, it's completely okay to go ahead and grab 2 threads or a doubled up thread and do it that way. With a doubled up thread, you'll do one thread will stay at the bottom, and one side of the thread will stay at the bottom, and one will go up at the top. Alright. 3 more. Excuse me. See, I wish this hadn't slowed me down today. It would be so much further. But that's what happens. Something's bound to throw a wrench in the works, right? 2 more. I'm also using the light to help guide me into the hole so that I get the right spot. Not exactly perfect, but it's pretty darn close, and that means I don't have to go putting any more damage into the vinyl. And tie off this stitch. 1 more into the corner, and then a handful down the line. And This is absolutely something that I should be finishing later when I'm not sitting around with all of you. So I'm going to do this last stitch that fixes this corner problem, and I'll fix that later. So I'll tell you about how I'm going to fix the stitches that were skipped. So when stitching down the line, if it just skipped one stitch and you just kept stitching because you didn't either notice it or you weren't too worried about that one, you can do almost exactly what I'm doing right here with that one skipped stitch. So what I'm going to do with that to fix that one skipped stitch is I'm going to take one layer of this thinner gray thread and I'm going to go up from the back, around the skipped stitch thread, and back into the vinyl. So I'll literally go up the hole where the bobbin thread should have caught the top thread. I will go above and over that top thread and back down, pulling that top thread with this thinner gray thread. So it'll look like the bobbin thread caught correctly. So I'll be doing that later. And I'll do that when I'm offline so we can actually move on with the project. Doesn't that sound like a great idea? Let's move on with the project. Silly me. Expecting everything to be right. First time around. Pshaw. Alright, on to putting more holes in my table. No, that's what I mean. I like my double capped rivets. They're easy to put in. I've done them 16 million times, so I think that's what I'm going to stick with. Okay, so we're going to add these Chicago screws or rivets to the front and back straps. Place the 1.5 by 3 inch pieces of Craft X on the wrong side of the exterior front, just below the 1 inch drawn line. On the wrong side of the exterior front, we drew a 1 inch draw line. Apparently we drew a 1 inch line. We should probably draw a 1 inch line. Let's draw a line. See, this is what happens when you don't draw lines when you're supposed to draw lines. And you have to draw lines on top of other lines. There, we have a line. Put this here. And it says you can secure with double-sided tape or glue. I'm going to go with the glue at this point. As soon as I remember where I put my thing of glue. Oh, glue. I know I put it in a strange place because it wasn't where it belongs. There it is. Like I physically put it down and went, I'm going to forget that's there. Love when that happens. Alright, I'm going to put a little dab of glue. This is also a moment when I'm going to grab some extra threads and make sure they go under this, into the glue. Because I like gluing all my threads down. Because who doesn't like gluing their threads out of the way? And of course, this is going to be the side where, well, I'm not going to do this side yet because I still have to finish stitching all of that down. So let's get you out of the way. And let's do all of this on the other one. Excuse me. Oh look, no 1 inch drawn line. It's just that kind of day, isn't it? Work went wonky. Apparently I can't draw lines. 1/2" drawn line. I'm kind of at the point where I don't want any more double-sided tape in my project. This just seems to be too much of it. Don't get me wrong, it's all for a really good reason. There's some of this stuff that would not hold still if we didn't have the double-sided tape in there. Oh, I should have done the iron-on glue. That would have been faster. This one we'll save for the other side of the spot where I'm doing all the hand stitching. And we will just do things like on this side now. Mark the place when it was 1/4 inch above the stitch line and 1/2 inch below the stitch line. Oh, okay. So they want to go just a little bit above the stitch line towards the D-ring and a lot, comparatively, below the stitch line for the D-ring on that side. Okay. Because I know I can't do any markings with my ruler, excuse me, and chalk, I'm going to bring out a real-life pen. I'm going to also be extra careful because the last thing I want to do is have a pen mark on my purse where things aren't supposed to be. So, 1/2 inch below the stitch line in the middle. So that's going to be there. So I'm not going to draw a line all the way across. I'm just going to do a tiny little dot right there. And that actually didn't mar the stuff at all. So I'm being extra, extra, extra careful. And a 1/4 inch above, which is there. So I'm really going to have to look for these lines and these marks, which is a good thing in my mind. 1/4 inch above. And 1/2 inch below. There's actually a stitch right here that I missed too, so I'm going to be extra careful to look through all of the spots that I might have had a slip stitch. Alright, I'm going to go get all my ribbit stuff. And get all of these pieces out of the way, because, a couple of pieces went flying. Now here's the fun part. I have to find the silver ones. Because there's silver and there's gunmetal. They're a little hard to tell apart. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll need 8. 3, 4, 4 and 1, 5 and 1, 6, 7 and 1, 8 and 1. So what I'm counting is the male versus the female sides of it. So I've got 8 of the male sides and I've only got 3 of the female sides, so I have to go fishing for the rest of them. And there's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright. Found them all. I'm going to get all of you guys out of the way. Now this would be, if I wanted to put like the really neat ones with the rhinestones, this would be the good place to put it. Not somewhere where it's going to be seen, like on this handle, because the rhinestone rivets, they don't really do a good job of, they don't have 2 sides to them. They just have one side that's a good side to it. So if the other side of the rivet was going to be on the inside of the bag, everything would be fine. They're more obviously for decoration than anything else. Excuse me. Okay. So now that I have all my pieces, let's make some holes. So all that's going to go out of the way. And I try to do all of my hammering down in this corner so that I only break the tiles that are down in this corner. Just, you know, in case we ever change and move things around. And it looks like we've been glued on fairly well. Maybe we'll put that there to, oh, don't, let go. There we go. Alright, let me grab my hammer. John Henry was a little baby. There we go. So, I've got one that's 1/4 of an inch above the stitching line that was right there, and one that's 1/2 inch below. And you've got to pick it up to make sure it doesn't go all the way through all the layers. Can't quite tell. Nope, not yet. I'm a little concerned that I'm not going to be able to get my rivets in all the way through these layers. So I lift it up and I feel the back to see if the craft X has been punctured. If it hasn't, I keep going. I'm pretty sure that was it. And I'm wrong. Usually you feel it. And I'm twisting it to make it let go a little more easily, and it apparently wanted to visit the floor. Excuse me. Now let's test and see if this is going to work, because my knee-jerk reaction is that it's not going to be able to stay. Maybe. Not quite. There it is. Let's try. We'll put the one side in there. We'll put this side in here. And where is my fabric? I've lost my cute little piece of linen that was doing the... I was making sure that everything got out. That when I hammered, everything was okay. Oh, looks like I'm going to have another piece of fabric. This is an old piece of fabric from an old project. So I was pretty enthusiastic with that one, because I really, really, really want to make sure it stays. And it hasn't, and it didn't. So I'm a little worried about, I might have to go with the Chicago screws on these. There's a little something on the inside of this cap that I think is some of the fabric that we punched through that might be interfering with the ability for the rivet to cut or to close. So I'm going to see if I can use more different rivet head. And see if that makes any difference. Don't hit your fingers, everybody. kind of waiting for that to happen. Okay, let's try this one. Nope, still pops out. Okay, Chicago screws it is. Too thick. Too thick for my double cap rivets. The only thing that's going to bother me is my Chicago screws do not look like my double cap rivets, and my double cap rivets are in the fabric handles, which are, you know, obviously already stitched down. Well, nothing to be done with it. Okay, so these are my Chicago screws. One of the things that everyone says to make sure you do is when you start using these to put a little dab of glue on the threads, which makes absolute sense to me. Okay, so if you haven't done Chicago screws before, so there's one side that's really pretty and got everything going on, and then there's the other side, and the pretty side has the post on it with the threads of the screw on the inside of that post. The other side has a very, very thin screw head on it, and then it literally is the screw side. So you put a little bit of glue on the screw side when you put it, and then you literally screw it. It's not difficult at all. Not nearly as difficult as those snaps that I was having trouble with. So I'm just going to use my regular glue, and I'm going to figure out where I left my screwdriver last. Oh, Kitty curled up on the computer chair. Kitty's curled up on the computer chair, happy as a little glam. Okay. All the screwdrivers. Alright, so I'm going to take my post side. I'm going to see if it fits into the hole I made, and it probably doesn't, because that would be too easy for my knife. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Alright, so we need to make another hole. Remember all that garment making stuff I have? Still very, very useful. As soon as I figure out where in the style of garment making stuff I left my dies. Did I need them on the ironing board? Did I? I did. Alright. So I have this one, which is just about the same diameter as the post for my Chicago screws. So that's handy. And I want to make sure that I got all the way through. Loud noises, people. Sorry about that. Alright, let's see if we can get this in there. And get all the extra pieces off of the project, except the two pieces we're using. Alright, let's see if we can get the post in. There we go. That worked well. I'm going to open my glue bottle. Make sure that I can get my screw head in okay. Yep, feels like it's behaving. We'll unscrew that guy. Come on now, glue, let's go. it would help to open the bottle. Yep, that's just the day. Like I said, it's just been that day. Alright. Dab of glue on the end. Probably get glue all over my fingers because, again, that's the day I'm having. And for some reason it feels like the threads are misaligned. So I'm going to lay this very solidly on the table. I'm going to very solidly take my screwdriver until it doesn't stop misbehaving. For some reason it just feels like it's missing. It's going in with the incorrect threads. But it's going in okay, so maybe it's just me. And I actually want a crosshair screwdriver. Don't make fun of me for saying crosshair screwdriver. I can never remember which ones are the Phillips and which ones are the other ones. I'm having a little, ow, that's the same finger that I whammed with my mallet earlier too. So I'm having trouble with the front side spinning as I'm turning the back side. I'm not quite sure how to fix that because normally I'd just take my pliers to the front side and say, hey, hold still. But I don't want to scratch it either. And I want to figure out where I put my pliers. And I scratched it. All sorts of fun today. Okay, so this is a flat pliers without any teeth on it. And it isn't turning much in my hand, which is nice. And I am still turning my screwdriver for the Chicago screw part, and so I think that's kind of the best we're going to do. So I did get a little bit of marring on the front of my Chicago screw, but considering that was the first time I've done Chicago screws seriously, I think that's okay. Alright, so we'll do the bottom one. And we'll see if we can get a better result. See, and that's going to bother me. I might end up popping out this double-headed rivet, this double-capped rivet, and doing a Chicago screw there, there, and there. Just because it's going to bother me, it's not going to look pretty. Okay, so I've got a couple layers of something or other that are between me and my Chicago screw. So let's just get those out of the way. And get the screw head apart. Come on now. This has got to be one of the more entertaining videos I've done with all the mistakes and all the problems. But, you know, that's how people learn, and that's why we problem solve, and you talk about things, and you figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Like this, you know, Chicago screw, not working for me at all. Just too many layers here. I don't think everything is punched all the way through. So I'm going to go back and hammer down a little bit further. Preferably with the sharp side down. Well, I've done that. push out all the goo in the middle. Make sure we actually have a hole. Hey, my seam ripper goes all the way through. And grab a post. I'm actually going to push down the fabric around this post so that I can see where the stupid threads are, and that any of those excess fibers that shouldn't go into the threads on the inside of the Chicago screw are out of the way. And I'm going to put the pointy end of this pliers into that spot just to make sure there aren't any threads in there, since we were having so much fun with the previous one. I'm going to put a little glue on you. Put some glue on you, and now you're mine. Sorry. That's Halloween song. Ask me why it popped into my head now. And we'll see if this Chicago screw will go in a little easier. So I knew the front was a problem when it was starting to spin, when this wasn't getting any deeper. And now I can see that the front one is doing the same thing. I gotta find a solution somewhere for that. I mean, I suppose it's not the end of the world. And see, now I have two very awesome Chicago screws in the front, and I'm definitely replacing that one because that's going to bother the heaven out of me. And it's a little offset anyway, so I'm going to have 3 Chicago screws that are all the same when I'm done. So now we know what that stuff looks like. Oh, we get to put the bottom on. That's what we get to do next. I'm so excited. We get to put the bottom on. Guys, I've had a very long week and I've been sick. I apologize. I think I'm going to call it a night. Putting the bottom on is really easy. You use a 1/2-inch seam allowance and you just stitch the darn thing on. This side will be facing one way, this side will be facing, the other side will be facing the other way. It'll lay out like that. When I come back, which will be at least Wednesday, watch Barb's Bags for updates on whether or not I'll be doing Monday, because I really want to get this guy done, but I'm exhausted. I might pop in over the weekend, I'm not sure. So watch Barb's Bags for announcements for new events. I really should start posting to Facebook just to my channel when I start going live. And I have a YouTube channel where all of these videos will also get uploaded as soon as we figure out how to pull them down off of Facebook. So yeah, that's what's going on. We're definitely going to get this done though, guys. We're so close. Come on, we're almost at the halfway page. Well, it's been a pleasure for everybody. Take care, have a great night, and I will see some of you soon. Bye now.